Glazers, who orchestrates another set piece and flicks it from Martial, who squeezed it through Ederson and established a United lead on Derby Day. Another way, James towards Rashford, free in a flash. We're here for Pogba, supported now by Daniel James, whose dream comes true. About it, lap it up, boy. There's clear pull back for Pogba. United look the business. Boy, they look the business. What a splendid Manchester United breakthrough goal. This resurgent red storm blows up again. Quite a sight when they're flying, and they're flying again now.
Hello and welcome back to the United Devils podcast. Today we're going to be discussing little snippets of the transfer window, but only a little bit so we don't completely go into depression. But we'll also be talking about United's expectations for the season and previewing United's first game of the season against Crystal Palace at Old Trafford, as well as their away trip to Luton Town in the Carabao Cup the following Tuesday. With me today, I welcome back both Prashanth and Nithin. Welcome back, guys. And, we'll just get straight into it. There's no, let's just rip off the bandage. It's been a bit of a rough morning for Manchester United fans as the news has come in that Sergio Reguilon has agreed a deal with Tottenham Hotspur, not snubbing Manchester United, but Real Madrid have actually had an offer that they were willing to accept by Tottenham Hotspur involving a buyback clause and I believe, first dibs clause for want of a better word. But essentially, if Tottenham were to sell Reguilon, they would get the first choice to buy him, and they would also have a buyback clause too. I think the deal's 30 million euros, and personal terms have already been agreed. It's just a matter of time. United were also looking into Bale as a loan deal, as an option, as opposed to Sancho, but that has also been firmly rejected. And Tottenham Hotspur look to be leading the race to sign the Welshman. And to make matters even worse, it seems that the Sancho deal is becoming more and more unlikely as the days go by, unsurprisingly, because it's becoming more and more unlikely that Dortmund will sign a replacement and therefore would like to keep Sancho. And with the transfer window closing in just 19 days' time, it is a big worry. Prashanth, what's your... Firstly, let's talk about the Reguilon thing. What is your immediate reaction to this news?
I'm quite happy that we missed out on Reguilon because for two reasons. One, I was never comfortable with the buyback clause. Real Madrid are known to do that. They have done that with Dani Carvajal, who moved to Bayern Leverkusen. Within a year, they bought him back. So that was one reason why I was never comfortable. But of course, you always needed a left back. We've seen last season as well. Brandon Williams is not an ideal deputy to Luke Shaw. Young guy, right-footed, not a very comfortable left back. I don't blame him for that as well. Left back was needed, and I was hoping that we land up Sergio Reguilon. But whatever said and done, that buyback clause was something which was irking me for quite some time. It's fine we missed out on him, but the manner in which Spurs came and just sealed the deal, that's what is more annoying. It just turned out in a day. I mean, you're talking about Mourinho, who's had, let's say, not so good relations with Real Madrid after his unceremonious exit. If he can also pull off a deal with Daniel Levy, I don't know what's wrong with us then. I mean, why can't we just get in, close the deal, whatever it is, yes, no, maybe, yes, done, no, okay, off it, next, target, whoever it is. That's something which I was not very happy how United missed out on the deal, or possibly if, like other agents said that, he was using United's name to get a move to Spurs or whatever. But yeah, it's okay. I mean, I'm not much disturbed with missing out on Reguilon. It's fine. That buyback was not something which I was very comfortable in, which I was not comfortable in buying it at all.
No, I think that was the deal breaker for Reguilon. Of course, Nithin, we were talking about some of the other options that United have instead of Reguilon, because I still think that we do need to sign another left back before the window closes. So obviously Telles is the biggest name. Do you think that Telles would be the right one, or do you see someone else coming in, Nithin?
I think Telles is at the perfect age of his career. I think he's 27 and, he's at the perfect age to take that big step to a big club. I think, he has had fantastic figures at FC Porto. I think he scored 11 goals and I think 7 or 8 assists as well from left back. So he's the set piece taker for FC Porto. So he's just more than a left back. So, and he's on the last year of his contract as well. So he's available for, I think, around 20 million euros. That's absolute sniff, for that, for a player of that caliber. So I think he's been offered to us, so we have to wait and see whether we, take that offer and sign him up. Because I don't think by the way we are doing the transfers, I wouldn't be surprised if you offer 10 million euros and 10 million in add-ons, because it's been damn frustrating as a United fan. So I think just pay the 20 million and he'll be our player. But whether we do that is the next question. So if you are in for Reguilon, obviously it means that we need a left back in first place. And Telles is a perfect, he can come in and bench Luke Shaw. We can't trust Luke Shaw for an entire season. He will get injured at some point. So I think Telles is the one.
I mean, also, Arjun, once you have a buyback clause, what happens exactly is that if Reguilon plays well for it, and let's say we want to sell him at a higher price, we can't do that. He's no longer a player, right? It's always like he's a Real Madrid player, but on loan to United. No matter, even if we pay whatever the amount they ask. So in that sense, we missed out Reguilon fine. Like you asked, Alex Telles, good player. But again, when you look at Reguilon, he's great attackingly, but not very shrewd in terms of defense. And Alex Telles is exactly opposite of that. He's good attack as well as in defense. So yeah, I mean, if he can nick a deal, good signing for us.
Yeah,
I think Real Madrid have done it with Casemiro as well. I think they sold him to Porto with a back clause. Yeah, and Alvaro Morata as well with Juventus. That was a good example because his stakes were like around 50 to 60 million, and I think Real Madrid bought him for just 20 or 30 million. So that is a huge loss for Juventus.
Yeah, well, and then they sold him for 60 million to Chelsea as well. So right. they gained a massive bit of profit there. So I mean, obviously, I think a buyback clause was never going to happen. I thought. The thing is that what was being said was,
agreed to it. I'm quite surprised that Spurs have agreed to it because no top teams would do that at this present because
that's Mourinho at his best for he's desperate for a signing right now because he's lost Danny Rose. He does not trust Ben Davies to do the job for quite some time. So he needed a left back, and with Gareth Bale also expected to move there. I don't know what's going to happen with Berwin. I mean, he signed him for a record deal in January. Yeah. I don't know what's up with him. That's Mourinho. Steven Berwin doesn't start anymore, so he's on the bench.
Well, let's talk about Gareth Bale because that is the deal that seeming to be the alternative option for Jadon Sancho, but that's obviously gone down in flames. But would you have been opposed to taking Gareth Bale on loan, or do you think that he would have been a really bad decision for United?
I would have never taken Gareth Bale on loan. I mean, the man has got massive ego. One, he's not a true professional at all. I mean, I understand you have issues with the club or whatever, but as a professional, that's shambolic what he has done with the club. Yes, I understand he said that he wants to leave Madrid, whatever, and the club did not let him go. But you still can't stop training. You still can't, do things what he has done at Madrid. Now, let's forget the off-the-field, issues of Gareth Bale. But even on the field, he's injury prone. He's 31. He's no longer the quick Gareth Bale what we know. When you compare players of La Liga, he's always going to be quick because, I mean, La Liga in terms of pace is a bit on the slower side. If you put someone like Richarlison in La Liga, he will look like a Usain Bolt. So I was never convinced of Gareth Bale even when he moved from Spurs to Madrid, I knew he was a great player. To be fair, yes, good player. But he's at this wrong end of his career where I'm not sure whether he's a great player of what he was at Spurs and what he won at Real Madrid and what is he going to offer to United. I don't think it's an upgrade to us on the right-hand side specifically because Jadon Sancho is what we were dreaming of. And once I look at Jadon Sancho and what he was going to offer at the current rate, I don't think Gareth Bale was ever going to even come close to it. There are other options than Gareth Bale. And also look at the structure of deal what we were offered. First, you have to loan him. If you like his performance, then you buy him. I mean, God forbid if he gets injured once he's with us, like Radamel Falcao deal, it's another wasted player altogether. So why do you want to even take a risk with someone who's got a notorious passed with injury all the time. I don't even remember one fully fit Gareth Bale season as soon as he went to Madrid. I think one season was where he was fully
The
fit,
first
the first season, and after that it's always been injury. His ankle, I think even his groin, those long-term injuries. It's not even like a niggle or just a hamstring pull. He will be back after 2 weeks or something. So I was never comfortable with the Gareth Bale to Man United, although he was always wanted by us for whatever reasons from quite some time, but not now. Gareth Bale is past his prime.
Thank
and
you.
on max wages as well. I think he's on a 600K a week at Madrid, so
Yeah.
we have to pay 300. So
Another Alexis Sanchez in making.
Exactly. Well, we'll talk about Jadon Sancho because obviously he is the main priority. It still seems that to be the case. As I said, the deal is becoming ever more unlikely due to the fact that Dortmund are going to become, it's going to become more difficult for them to sign a replacement. But it's just going to seem that it's always been the same story. If United pay 108 million pounds, 120 million euros, he will join. The personal terms have been agreed. That's all done. It's just about the fee, and United have been haggling for 2 or 3 months now and still at a stalemate, because even though a deal was initially agreed in inverted commas, Woodward pulled the plug and said, no, we're not going to pay 100 million. How about 90? And then things just reset back to where they were. But it's just a whole level of incompetence on this deal. Nithin, do you think he'll be signed before the Crystal Palace game? Do you think he'll be signed at all?
Oh, it's really tiring, isn't it? Because Jadon Sancho is a name that have been in every United fan's mouth for I think 2-3 months. It's really tiring. So obviously he won't be available for Crystal Palace game. There's no chance. So by the looks of it, I think we are still negotiating with Dortmund, but I don't know what they're negotiating because 120 million is his price. We have to just pay it and move on. So that's what we need to do. But for some reasons, we are still haggling over it. So in a report I read that like we were waiting to make the bid because we had some financial issues. Last month we had some there were some dividends that Glazers took out of the club, and we didn't have the money to spend. So I think what I read was like they were waiting for this month to make the bid, the official offer. So, but as you said, like the day passes by, I think it's really unlikely, and especially with the PR works that Dortmund have been doing. I mean, that is just ridiculous. I mean, their sporting director Michael Zorc coming out and say he's staying, the chairman, everything, and they're basically forcing every single player to come and say he's staying. So I think it's a 50-50 now. It's on a stalemate. But considering that we have been chasing him for I think almost a year, isn't it? So, and we have agreed personal terms, and that news has been broken in the English media as well. So basically, it's a brief given by the club. So now, if we walk away from the deal, we would look absolutely stupid. So the one way to pull the plug on this deal was they could claim that Jadon Sancho wanted huge wages, agent fees. I think they made such a statement before because the English media was quite consistent about that agent fees and wages were an issue. While Fabrizio Romano said that wages and personal terms are agreed. So now that it has broken in the English media, I think there is a chance that we could finally end up signing him. But when is a big question. And as Prashanth said, how will they get an alternative? I mean, replacement for them. So that's also a huge question. I spoke to a Dortmund fan. So he said that they've been, gelling in, Gio Reyna and all those youngsters. They have quite a good set of youngsters who come in and take his place on the right-hand side. So it's interesting now, it's on a stalemate. So let's see. Let's hope for the best. So I can see him coming on the deadline day since, there's that poster boy signing that they like, isn't it? So and number 7 shirts, hundreds and millions of shirts, and so that's a huge brand, So I can see it happening, but when is a big question. So let's wait and see.
Absolutely.
Even Dortmund were negotiating with Milot Rashica and Jonathan David, but they have stopped negotiating with them also. So increasingly, so they've just stopped negotiating because they were potential replacements for Jadon Sancho. Now it increasingly looks like the ball was always at United's court. I mean, they had to pay the money, 120 million, take it or leave it. That was always a Dortmund stand. But now United have played this game so bad. Dortmund have even played it much worse for United. They've said that, you know what, I'm done negotiating with you. I've been telling you the same thing for the past 3 months. What are you coming and negotiating at? And hence, what Nithin said makes even more sense to me, because at the end of the day, they have made it clear to you, this is the price of the player. You pay it, you take him, we are absolutely fine with it. What are the add-ons which you're talking about? One which you're going with Jadon Sancho will win the Ballon d'Or, will win the Champions League, will win the Premier League, 50 appearances, 100 appearances. I
Man
mean,
United
how
winning
long?
September.
Yeah, how long will you keep pushing the same strategy? I mean, you did that with Anthony Martial. Monaco, no disrespect to them, they were a bit naive to accept it, but at the end, even they made money out of it.
Yeah.
Dortmund are not going to do that. I mean, they have been like one of those big clubs who are fortunate enough to produce these kind of talents and sell on a consistent basis. They're not some pushovers, They know how to do business, and this is clearly exposing United's lack of business acumen, especially when it comes to transfers. I mean, you can be the biggest club in the world in terms of commercial and marketing activities, but if you can't pull off a deal where, I mean, wasn't it a known fact that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wanted Jadon Sancho for more than a year? It was a well-known fact. Everyone in this world knew that there was only one club who's going to go for Jadon Sancho, which is United, because Madrid Barcelona clearly said we don't have the money to pay in this pandemic. Liverpool doesn't need it. City already signed Ferran Torres for a 20 odd million. Good deal for them. Then who's the next big club available? PSG are not going to sign. So it was always going to be United. And Dortmund knew it. United knew it. Everyone knew it. 120 million, he's your player, but you're still stuck at 90 for 3 months. I don't know what's worse than this. Like Nathan said, we might look like a fool now. It's a matter of time. Even if we sign, everyone will still say the same thing. I mean, you tried to play the hard ball. And what happened at the end? You had to pay what Dortmund asked.
Why couldn't this have been done ages ago?
Yeah, exactly. It should have been done ages ago. Exactly. No. You could have had him for a preseason. Also, Arjun, think about this. The signings which we had and who missed the preseason have not necessarily been a success to us. Diego Dalot missed a preseason. Yeah. And we've seen what happens once you don't have a good preseason with you. You're not fit. I agree that Jadon Sancho is already playing for Dortmund. He's had a good preseason and all. But playing at Dortmund is far different than playing at United. Dortmund are much more fluid in attack. Our attack is just still building. So
it's all about team chemistry, isn't it? It's all about getting into the flow.
Yeah.
And we saw what happened with Maguire when obviously he had a fantastic debut against Chelsea, but then against Palace, he didn't quite know how to work with Lindelof, and it cost us a goal.
Yeah.
So we can see why a preseason is so important. The likes of Fellaini, Martial, Mata, Igalo, like you said, Dalot as well.
Yeah.
All signed very late. It took ages. Pogba. Let me think. Even Lukaku took a while to get the deal done.
Bastian was the only guy I remember who came in early. Not exactly early, but he joined midway of the window. Yeah. Falcao was a last day signing again.
Yeah, right.
So I mean.
And Daley Blind as well, I think. Daley Blind.
I mean, Daley Blind had a good World Cup, whatever. But I don't know. Isn't it a pattern which is happening far too often now? Like
it seems everyone can see the pattern, but the board.
Yeah, but I mean, what I think is our board decides to sign players basis number of views on YouTube. I think that's how they scout. I really don't understand that it's been 13, 14 years you didn't have a proper right winger. You've always played makeshift players there. When was the last time we had a proper right winger? Cristiano Ronaldo, to a certain extent, who played Valencia was not a winger, let's face it. I mean, yeah, he's a great right back who played for us, but I don't still classify him as a great right winger. I mean, you're talking of so-called one of the biggest clubs in the world, and you don't have a right winger for the past 13 odd years. I mean, you have not signed a right winger, man. I mean, it's annoying after a point of time, because what is stopping you? You say that you have the money to burn, you can sign players, but still 90 million, not 120. I don't know.
We can do things in the transfer market that other clubs can really dream of.
Yeah, just keep quiet. That's
I'm bored of that comment. I'm done. But let's move on. Obviously, let's keep all the anger each day, because it will just get worse as we go along the transfer window. But let's talk about the season expectations, because obviously United are expected to improve on that third place finish. And those 3 semi-finals, regardless of the transfers, regardless of anything, United are looking to improve. They are expected to do so. So we'll start with the 2 domestic competitions in the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. Yeah. Nithin, how far would you like us to see win both, or do you think that's too unrealistic?
I think we can win both, isn't it? I mean, FA Cup, and we reached the semi-finals twice, and I think it was a bit of a bad luck. So, I mean, these cup tournaments, I mean, especially the domestic ones, the Carabao Cup and FA Cup, I think they are quite winnable with the squad you've got. I think we have a good first 11. Let's be positive at least. So we have a good first 11. So with Van der Beek coming in, we have a good strength in midfield as well. So yeah, I can see us winning it. Two domestic cups is really good. I think. I think it's the winnable one. So I think, and especially Solskjaer is desperate for the silverware recently. He hasn't had a silverware to show as Man United manager. So I think he would obviously want that. So that's the reason why he fielded all his first 11 players in last year's FA Cup. So but we ended up losing to Chelsea in the semi-finals. So
did we turn up in the game? I don't remember.
So I think Solskjaer would look at one of these competitions, either Carabao or the FA Cup, and he would go all in to win that first silverware as Man United manager.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I mean, of course, it's always important for United to get silverware. We've obviously had a 3-year drought from silverware, and it's important to get back into the swing of things. Another competition that we are most recently in is the Champions League after that third place finish. Of course, the last time we did play in the Champions League, we were knocked out by Barcelona in the quarterfinals. Prashanth, do you expect United to get further this season, or do you expect them to fall further behind?
If United make it to the quarterfinals, quarterfinals of the Champions League, I'm definitely drowning myself in Guinness. With this squad, if you can make it to the quarterfinals, it's a massive credit to the squad. I mean, look at the holes which we are going to plug. I don't even want to imagine how we are going to. We are in pot 2 on top of it, right? So it's not going to be an easy draw for us. We are going to face, I think, 1 or 2 of the big teams. So I don't know if we'll get past the group stage either. It's not that I'm being pessimistic, but I do understand that you can't expect this squad to just completely go. From being semi-finalists to again start it in the Champions League, and they don't have that mental experience to do it. I mean, think about this, right? If you join a club like United, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can say whatever he wants, saying that I won this as a player, even you can do it. But the reality is changing every year. Champions League is one competition which brings up surprises from nowhere. I mean, I would have never thought in my life that Atlanta, whose only game plan is just to press the opponents, can reach till the semi-finals. They haven't done anything spectacular, but they just press and they stick with the tactic as much as they could. Lyon, for that matter of fact, just played on counter-attack. That's it. So I really don't know what are we supposed to expect from this Champions League. But if they make it to the quarter-final, I'll be more than happy. I mean, that'll be one of those big things. How Jose Mourinho said, finishing second was my biggest achievement in my career. So finishing in quarterfinals of Champions League would be a massive boost for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. God forbid if you don't get any transfer. I'm just expecting that with this particular squad.
No, of course.
Yeah, if we sign Jadon Sancho, then I think we have a good chance to knock on the doors, because there are some players who are known for some big moments. United has got that set of players. Someone like Bruno Fernandes. I'm not getting into Pogba. Bruno Fernandes, Martial, Rashford, Jadon Sancho is one of them. He's one of those kind of players who thrives on those big moments. If we sign Jadon Sancho, we have a bit more balance on the attack. Then we can talk about getting into further stages, or else it looks like a very difficult season in Champions League.
Yeah, I agree.
Can we include Thiago in this? I think today there was an interview with Christian Falk. He said that Bayern are expecting a bit from MUSC for Thiago Alcantara.
I have a very simple question. If you're Thiago Alcantara, why would you join Man United? You've just won the Champions League. If you want to be a part of the project which is rebuilt, his boyhood club Barcelona is facing a massive time for rebuild, and they need midfielders of his quality. I would rather choose Barcelona. Forget that. I have said openly that I want to join a club like Liverpool because it's my dream to play with Jurgen Klopp. All I need is one bid of 30 million, which Liverpool are not paying.
Well,
of all the reasons said, why would you join United then?
Well, I think the thing is that he has actually had talks with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I'm not sure whether personal terms have been agreed, but
I think wages are a stumbling block. I think he needs 200 grand a week, so I think United are quite enough to pay that.
Exactly. I think the thing is what Christian Falk said this morning is that if Wijnaldum stays at Liverpool and signs a contract, which is what Jurgen Klopp wants, Thiago will go to Manchester United. So we are heavily reliant on whatever happens with Wijnaldum. And I'd rather he stayed, because I watched that game against Leeds. He was useless. And so I'm very happy that if he's a regular starter for Liverpool instead of Thiago Alcantara, who is...
But Arjun, if you sign Thiago, where are you going to play him?
That is the problem. Can he play as an anchor with Pogba and Bruno Fernandes? No, there's not enough defensive contributions.
I think he plays a double pivot, isn't he? I think he and Goretzka, that was working out well for
Goretzka
Bayern.
next to him, we have Nemanja Matic. One Southampton starts pressing Matic, poor guy, had to stop the game. So Matic might be the best defensive midfielder 3 years back, but now he no longer has the legs to do it. You can't expect Matic to have 38 games. Scott McTominay, box-to-box midfielder, not a centre defensive midfielder. Fred depends on his mood, which side of the bed he gets up. But again, he's great doing attacking-wise. Defensively, he's still not great. So if you sign Thiago Alcantara, where are you going to play him? For that, you need to again go back and sign a defensive midfielder who can offer him cover.
So essentially what you need to do is buy a £30 million player to only buy another player.
Yeah.
So I think I don't see that one happening realistically. I think United will be looking more for the left back, the centre back, and obviously Jadon Sancho. We'll see how that turns out. We'll go on to our final point, which is obviously the biggest one, the Premier League. United and City obviously going to start a game behind everybody else after their exploits in Europe. But Nithin, do you think United have a chance to compete? Do you think, because I've already said I predict United will finish second in the league. I think I said that with Sancho. I said without Sancho, I think third, but I still think they can push for the title a lot more than they did last season for sure. Would you agree that United are going to push for the title or even win it?
No way, because obviously Liverpool and Man City, they are the front two candidates. So I think the top two will be between them, and and Chelsea are looking really strong this season. So although the first game was a bit atrocious, I think they have a great squad, and so they'll be pushing for that third. I mean, they should be pushing for a title, isn't it? Because of the money they spent this summer. Ridiculous. I think I've never seen a team spend this crazy amount in a single transfer window. I think they are after Declan Rice as well. So obviously they should be pushing for a title as well. So we don't have the depth, but I would call a top 4 season, because again, we haven't done enough business. And if Jadon Sancho comes, it's just only one signing, and we still have areas of weaknesses in our squad. So I would give it a top 4 season, just like last season. We should be pushing for a top 4. And coming to the Crystal Palace game, obviously I expect us to win, because we have a decent starting 11. Let's not forget that, because we have a good starting 11. And with Van der Beek coming in, obviously we have a good replace. Sorry?
And unbeaten?
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously unbeaten in 14 games as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So obviously we can put away Crystal Palace. But I'm not taking that for granted, because they have been playing some good football as well. I think they won the last game, right? Yeah.
They did, yeah.
So
with 20% possession, they won the game.
Right.
Which is I think exactly how they're going to play against us, though.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're known to do that, right? They don't want the ball. They just want to defend and defend. And of all the players, Patrick Van Aanholt, who will not score for entire of his life, will want to score his life every year. I mean, I'm just sick of that guy now.
Well, we'll get onto that in more detail in just a bit. But before we do, we're going to be talking about a topic you voted for as viewers on how can the Glazers leave the club. Now, I've already had a look at this in a bit of detail, but from what I've read and seen, sources close to the Glazers have said that they will only leave when the club is at its most profitable point. And then they will be able to sell it for the most amount of money, which from a business point does make sense. But then how can United be able to do that? The only way they do that is by winning trophies and being at the top of their level. And then that's the peak amount of value. So in sense, it would seem that supporting United will save United, because if you support United and hope they push for titles and Champions Leagues and things like that, and that they are backed, they will then become profitable enough to be sold for a big price. And then the Glazers can leave, and then someone else can come in and probably kick Woodward out of a job as well. Who knows? But it does seem that from that point that it's going to be a long way off, as the Glazers are still unwilling to back the managers on the short term, let alone think about the long term. So it will be difficult. Do you think that the Glazers could leave at any point, Prashanth?
No, I don't think Glazers are going to leave. It's a cash cow. Why would, it's like the age-old story which we have learned as a child. If there is, an animal which gives you golden eggs every day, why would I kill the hen? I mean, won't it be so stupid that if I kill the hen, I will never have it? But so it's the same for, I don't think Glazers are going to leave, and they are milking United to perfection. Imagine they just signed Tom Brady for Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who's equivalent to Neymar, but they can't sanction funds for Jadon Sancho. I mean, their biggest investment is Manchester United. If you help them win titles, you can milk more money out of United. If I have this talk in terms of Glazers language, you can milk more money out of them, but you still can't sanction transfers. And I think Glazers would not leave so easily for a couple of reasons. One, because the exposure what Manchester United can get to Glazer family, I don't think any other business venture can help Glazer get it. And it's unlike any other businessman. So, for example, when Nithin said, Chelsea have spent so much, Roman Abramovich takes genuine interest in Chelsea Football Club.
Yeah.
He wants to build it. People can say he's whatever. I mean, he owns a yacht. He does not care about how he spends his money, but he cares about one thing, which is to win and win with Chelsea Football Club. So he is okay to spend more money, and on top of it, he has employed Marina, who's one of the smartest negotiators you have in town. So what he has said is, I don't know how to manage. I am employing someone who knows how to manage. You manage, you get me the results. If you don't get me the results, I know where to hold. I know who to keep accountable. Is there an accountability factor in United? No, because the man who has employed, he himself doesn't have accountability. So I don't think Glazer family are going to leave United so easily.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I mean, it does really sum up where they're at the moment. It is a cash cow, Manchester United, and it is only going to be when they can get the most amount from them that they could leave. But that seems like a long way away if they're not allowed to help them short.
Another question would be, who can buy Man United at that huge price? I think the Saudis
you put it in the market, there will be anyone else who will want to buy. There are a lot of people who would want to, get into a deal with Man United.
Yeah, well, there's Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos. Yeah,
Jim Ratcliffe, and obviously the Saudi Crown Prince as well. They're the ones that have been linked over the last couple years or so. But Jim Ratcliffe is apparently he's a lifelong Manchester United fan, one of the richest men in Britain. Jeff Bezos, we know what Jeff Bezos is like, and obviously the Saudi Crown Prince as well has already come in with a £4 million bid. He's actually taken over, I think, 20% of the shares in Manchester United. So we'll have to see. But we're going to look a little bit closer to home, as obviously Saturday comes around and United start their Premier League campaign off at home to Crystal Palace, where they suffered an embarrassing defeat last season. In the dying moments of the game, Van Aanholt, as you mentioned earlier, scored. Firstly, let's talk about tactics, because obviously, just briefly, because obviously we know, like you said, Palace had very little possession against Southampton and won the game, and they countered brilliantly. I think they had 3 chances with Zaha, and he missed one. He was offside for the other, and he scored the first one. So, I mean, they're obviously going to be using his incredible ability against his former club. Nithin, do you see us managing? How do you see us managing the win?
I think we have a strong 11, so I think we have the resource to compete against Crystal Palace. So we have a good 11, and so I think we can get it over the line. So all negativities aside, I think we have got a good starting 11, and I trust them, because ultimately we can get a result. I mean, they are a good team. They can surprise many teams in the Premier League. But since the first game of the season, there'll be so much expectation from the fans. So it's a huge game. So I see getting over the line, and fingers crossed we get it over the line.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, like you said, we have a strong starting 11. I think the 11 that was the most prominent in the 14-game unbeaten run was De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw, Matic, Pogba, Fernandes, Greenwood, Marcus Rashford, and then Anthony Martial up front. Prashanth, do you see that being the starting 11 on Saturday, or do you see any changes to that, including newly returned player Dean Henderson?
For all the fans who've been crying, saying that get back Dean Henderson, make him United's number 1, I really, really hope that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sticks with David De Gea. Uh, for two reasons. One, because I'm a huge fan of David Dare. That's a personal bias. So let's not include that. But like we've spoken before, playing for Man United is far different than being number one of Sheffield United. So it's not an easy step for it's just like when you step from an academy to Premier League. It's not
Yeah,
going to
of
be easy
course.
it's not going to be easy for Dean Henderson either. And I don't want to throw him in a game like Crystal Palace because not that Crystal Palace, no disrespect, but not that they're very extremely strong or they're not going to be the Real Madrids or anything. But it's the first game of the season. David De Gea has been there, done that. So let Dean Henderson settle down at Man United, slowly and steadily ease him in. And like you said, we should stick with our playing 11. I'm not sure whether Bruno is going to start or not because he's just returned on Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another thing to ponder on. Van de Beek should be given a start here because I'm really curious to see what because he's known to break low block teams. That's because of his movement and intelligence. And we all know that Crystal Palace, I will not say they're going to park the bus, but they're going to play compact. I don't know if you guys have seen their new left back, Mitchell, Tyrick Mitchell. He's
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
academic, excellent footballer. I
He
mean,
gave me 6 points in FPL.
he was my bench man. I played Vingare and he didn't help me, but yeah. So, I'm excited to see United back after quite some time.
Yeah.
Premier League is back, so it's fun. But at the same time, I'm nervous. It's just the first game of the season, and I really hope United stick to the best playing 11. If
Yeah.
Bruno doesn't start, then Van de Beek has to. I don't know if Pogba is going to start or not because I think because of the virus which he was suffering. So I don't think he's going to start either. So
I think he will. Because
I
Neymar
think
did it. Neymar and Mbappe started, I think.
I don't know because I read a couple of reports that he might not start. He might come on as a sub. Yeah,
Yeah,
he might come on as a sub because you don't want to risk suddenly by playing him
that's
because
true.
of weakness and jaded. Yeah, so
Yeah.
he might
Well,
just come.
I probably reckon then if Pogba's not starting, then Bruno will. Because I think even
Yeah.
with what would it be? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday training.
4 days, yeah, 4 5 days.
4 days is enough, I think. I
Yeah.
mean, for someone of his caliber, it might be enough. And maybe Van
I
de Beek
really hope even if he has
right.
1 hour of rest, you have to start him. I mean, think about this. We're so dependent on him for creative outlet. There's no one else who will create it.
Yeah.
And also, I think in the friendly, Martial and Bruno both didn't play, so I'm expecting both
Yeah.
of them to start.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I am expecting a big season from Mason Greenwood this year, and I really, really hope that in a previous podcast as well, I had mentioned that. This is the big test for Mason Greenwood because first year, let's say that it was your lucky year. You were a big revelation to the club. Now, from this season on, people will know what you do. They will close in the gaps. I don't know if you guys remember the last season's Crystal Palace game. Scott Dan was shouting, saying, "Don't give him space, don't give him space."
Yeah.
They were trying to close him. I think, was it Crystal Palace or Bournemouth? I think either
was
of
Bournemouth.
these,
It was
Bournemouth, I
Bournemouth.
think. Yeah, Bournemouth, I think. So either of these games and teams will start to figure Mason Greenwood out now. So this is his season then. If he has to step up and if he has to make, be the number 9 of Manchester United as he's always dreamt of, then I really am expecting big scenes, especially and Crystal Palace is the perfect time to show because fans are excited and nervous. Score in quick, settle down the nerves, and then play however you want to play.
Yeah. Well, I
I
mean,
think
we'll
he's
have to
given
see.
the number 11 as well. Number 11 shirt. That's a huge.
Yeah, that's a big
Yeah, yeah.
statement. That's a big statement.
Already doing a lot of trades of number 11, so yeah, not bad.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, obviously, it's going to be, it's not too long away. I can't wait for it to begin.
Yeah.
I've already predicted United will win 2-0. How about you guys? Prashanth, you go first.
I think United will win 3-0. I think we'll blow Crystal Palace out. That's not a problem.
Okay, thank you. And you, Nithin?
I'm going for 2-0. Same as you.
Okay. Well, I mean, we're expecting clean sheets. Let's hope so. Let's hope there's no shocks involved in that. But then on Tuesday after, United then go away and play Luton Town in the Carabao Cup third round. I'm expecting Dean Henderson to start in this one, though. How many changes would you expect to make from the starting 11, Nithin?
I think we would shift the entire 11, I would say, because Fred, McTominay, all these guys should come in.
Yeah.
And Van der Beek, if he doesn't start against Crystal Palace, he would definitely come on. I mean, he would definitely start against Luton Town. And Dean Henderson, as you said, would definitely start. And we can expect Dalot. I mean, Dalot hasn't been given a chance. So, it will be interesting whether he starts. So,
yeah,
I'm expecting a lot of changes.
Yeah.
And Dan James would start as well. So, a lot of changes, in fact. Igalo again.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually really looking forward to seeing James start on the left because I mean, I watched the Villa pre-season, and while Dalot, like you said, he was pretty bad at dealing with Jack Grealish, but Dan James looked really great on the left-hand side. He was actually making those good decisions, good crosses, and good runs that we were all crying out for at the end of
And he had
last
scored a
season.
blinder against Southampton as well. That was really brilliant from the left-hand side. That was a great goal against
The second goal, the second goal of his career at Premier League.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that was one of the first. Yeah, it was a really good finish. Yeah, so I think he has got what it takes, and we'll just have to see how long it goes from there. But what's your predictions for the Luton game? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say 5-0 because I think they'll turn on the flare there. Prashanth?
Obviously I'm expecting United to just win against Luton Town, so I'm expecting a 3-0 or a 4-0 victory. But one player which I really am excited to see in this game is Teden Mengi.
Yeah.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has spoken, very brightly. He might start. I mean, he should start.
Axel's still unfit and Bailly's back, so they might play Bailly and Mengi together.
Yeah, that might be a good combination to see, and also it'll be pretty interesting to see Teden Mengi and Ethan Laird both. Because both of them have been touted as the next big thing for Man United, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has even said that Teden Mengi has all the qualities to be United captain because he's been displaying commitment, consistency, he's very level-headed kid, so on and so forth. So I'm very excited to see what Teden Mengi brings on, because whenever I've seen him play, one thing is for sure that he's not going to be just a pushover for any striker, because he's bulky, he's strong, he's got his head at the right place, unlike Daniel James, how we were speaking. We were crying saying that he's an headless chicken. The man just runs everywhere, does not take the right decision. Yeah, whatever you want to call him. But so I'm excited for the Luton game. I'll not say that I'm not excited for the Premier League, but Luton offers that extra chance for all of us fans saying that, what is this academy has to offer? Who's the next big thing who's going to come off it? So like, said, Van de Beek, if it doesn't start at Crystal Palace, has to start the Luton Town game. I really hope Odion Ighalo gets a start. Because Martial, Greenwood, Rashford should get a rest in that game. Odion Ighalo has to start. I mean, we have signed him for something, not to come on a substitute at 89th minute versus Sevilla. That's not what his role is. So he should start. It'll be interesting to see how United alter their formation, because he can't play a 4-3-3 with Ighalo on. No. I mean, he's not the kind of guy to play.
The thing that you've been seeing is like when you've been linked with that Monaco centre back Badiashile. So why are we signing a 19-year-old centre back when you've got someone like Teden Mengi waiting?
I think we're quite strong with centre backs, and Tuanzebe I think has obviously got a lot to offer too.
And Teden Mengi reminds me of a young Upamecano. He has the similar traits. He's pacey, he's strong, he's brilliant, and he's good on the ball as well. His passing is really
good. He's a very smart player. He's a really smart, intelligent player. So.
I mean, a lot of people have been rating Teden Mengi for almost a year and a half too. Because I read in an interview with Nicky Butt saying that he's too good to play in the reserves, but you can't directly push him to the Premier League either. So they're still trying to find a plan for him so that they can ease him to the Premier League, because they expect great things from him. And he's someone just like how they have spoken about Greenwood as well. I mean, they had a plan to ease Greenwood in the Premier League, but whatever was the situation, he started playing consistently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to be big to see what Mengi can offer. Nithin, did you give a prediction for the Luton game?
Yeah, I'm going for a 3-0.
3-0, sorry. Thank you. Well, I mean, it'll be really exciting to see United play week in, week out. And obviously after the in September, then we'll have the October beginning with the Champions League, which can offer up all different solutions and all different permutations and things that can happen. Of course, we will actually be live streaming a watch along for Manchester United's game against Crystal Palace on Saturday, live with the actual game. But until then, that's all we have time for. Thank you for listening, and thank you to both Prashanth and Nithin for joining me. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. Hopefully we'll have a little bit more positivity to talk about before the Palace game, but we'll have to see. If you have any questions or topics you would like for us to discuss in the next podcast, comment below on the YouTube poll, on the Twitter poll that we will be publishing an hour before recording, and obviously give you a shout out as the podcast is published. And if you enjoyed this, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and follow us on Twitter for more of our content.